of the greatest legal activists of the 20th century was a French Jew by the name of René Cassin, in Hebrew Shmuel Katzin. And he became very famous indeed at the age of 81 in 1968, won a Nobel Prize for Peace, because it was he who was the main drafter of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in December of 1948. In the aftermath of the Shoah, 30 basic rights, liberties, and freedoms were articulated for all of humanity and society to aspire towards. And indeed, it was René Cassin who lost his sister Yvonne and 25 other members of his family deported from France and killed by the Nazis. He, in his memoirs, writes, he says, when we were writing and articulating the Declaration of Human Rights, he writes that I was arguing that it should be called not human rights, but human responsibilities. And the reason he said it should be called human responsibilities is because as a Jew, knowing our tradition, the Torah is first and foremost less about rights. In fact, not at all. It doesn't talk about rights. It talks about mitzvot, commandments, duties, obligations, and responsibilities. And never more so in this week's parsha, ve'ele mishpatim, mishpatim, 53 different civil laws. As Rashi brings the Midrash, he says, ve'ele mishpatim, and these are the civil laws, because Rashi says these civil laws are not human laws invented to organize society, but they are a direct continuation of everything given at Sinai, spiritual divine laws to make society into a better place. And indeed, one of the profound differences between rights and responsibilities, human Western law enshrining rights, the right to life, liberty, and freedom, etc., these rights, and the responsibilities of the Torah, is when it comes to rights, it is not clear who is responsibility. Indeed, the focus on rights often leads to a sense of being entitled. I know it's my right, and society is here to protect my rights, but who is responsible to provide those rights? If I have the right to food, should I be providing it? My family, society, the government, other societies? The Torah's bias and focus on responsibilities, and hence rights which stem from those responsibilities, is because the Torah first and foremost and its laws are there to transform us as individuals to be people who are godly, spiritual, and moral, who see ourselves as personally responsible to make a difference in the lives of others. Yes, everyone has the right to education, but the Torah focuses on our need to learn and teach others. Yes, everyone has the right to food. The Torah focuses not on those rights, but rather on our responsibilities to provide food for the poor. Indeed, the very first of the civil laws in this week's parsha is about the slave, but not about the rights of the slave, about the responsibility of the master to provide and grant rights to the slaves. And may we all, as we read once again Parshat Mishpatim, focus on our personal responsibility for our own lives, the lives of others, and those of society, because ultimately our rights and the rights of others are rooted in our godly and divine responsibility to partner with Hashem to make the world into a better, more godly, and more moral place. Shabbat Shalom.